Welcome to tonight's episode of Beyond Focus TV. I'm Lydia Patel, and as always, I have a very special guest for you, author Reea Rodney. She'll be with us for the next 30 minutes, so stay with us. You're watching Beyond Focus TV.
Beyond Focus TV allows you to discuss contemporary topics affecting the Caribbean people on both a national and local level. The show features informed guests who offer insight, debate, and evaluate various issues. Beyond Focus TV builds on the station's mission to provide useful information to the Caribbean people in New York and abroad. Beyond Focus TV, where our viewing audience can get educated, informed, and empowered.
Welcome back. You're watching Beyond Focus TV. I'm Lydia Patel. And like I said, I have a very special guest for you. We always try to bring you something different each and every week. And we have Reea Rodney, who's an author doing a children's book series. Reea, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me, Lydia.
Well, it's great to have you here. We love interviewing different people, and you know what? It's great to have someone like yourself who's not only from the community, but definitely doing something great. So let's take a moment to introduce you to our audience. Who is Reea Rodney?
Okay, well, I'm originally from Trinidad, which is a small country in the Caribbean. From a large family. It's 8 of us. I'm the second child, 5 girls, 3 boys. So basically that's where I grew up, went to school. I migrated to the United States in 2007. I feel like I'm in an era.
That's great.
And I've been here ever since. So I'm a childcare aide. I have 2 children, and now fast forward, I'm a children's author.
And that's so interesting, and I want to touch on a couple of things, but before we even go into, how you transitioned to be an author, how has growing up in Trinidad really shaped you? Because I know my family's from Trinidad as well, and I know there's a lot of little folk tales and storybooks, and they kind of instill these things into children from a very young age. Even when I would go over there, like in the summertime, you see your grandmother, they have different stories that we don't necessarily have here.
Yes.
So how has all that shaped, years later, transitioning to when you decided to be an author?
Well, growing up as a kid, if I were to be completely honest, I really never had a fond love for books. And that's the honest truth. My elder sister, she loved reading. And I was more of a kid who liked to be more of the outdoors. But I remember one time my parents bought the encyclopedia set, and it had like 12 books, which was all storybooks, and I really enjoyed reading these books and going through the nursery rhymes and so forth. But really expressing myself through reading, I really didn't, because as a kid I had a speech impediment, so I never liked reading out loud. I used to stutter a lot. I also had a lisp, so I was more really of an introvert when coming to reading. It really wasn't until I came here to the United States that I grew a fond love for reading and children book, as I became a child care aide, and I really started interacting with children and reading to them.
Wow, that's really, really interesting when you think about that.
Yes.
That even later in life you could develop things, which is it happens all the time. And just by listening to you, wouldn't even really tell that you grew up not being, having a little bit of a speech impediment in your earlier years. So fast forward now, you're an author, you've created a series. When did you decide to actually make this all come together?
Honestly, in 2012, I've written my first book, Juniper and Rose, Sisters First and Best Friend Forever. And it was just I was just inspired, I just felt this urge to write this book. And I did. But I really, again, because of my speech impairment and not really having that full confidence within myself, I just left it there. But I was also going through some personal struggles because I was ill. And at that time, I wasn't really sure what was going on. So fast forward to eventually, after, being ill and then being diagnosed with fibromyalgia, which is a disease that causes widespread pain. I just really want to reevaluate my life because I wanted to be a pediatric nurse. And, that was everything for me because I love taking care of children and caring for them. And I was at a place where I have to figure out what am I going to do. I'm ill, I'm always with pain. I didn't see my future as a nurse being there anymore. And that was when I decided, you know what, Reea, you could put that love for children and that yearning within you to help them by writing children books. And that's when I really picked up my pen and really said, I'm going to do this. And fast forward, it's something that I am intending to do full time.
That is so amazing. And for
Thank
all those
you.
who think that the art form of children books have died and is no longer as needed, no.
No.
That you can never beat having a physical book. I love ebooks. I love, I think it's the way with children you have to start setting them up to be able to do an iPad, and it's just how things are moving.
Yes.
But there's still something about holding a tangible book and feeling the pages and just going through that I think is so you can't replace that.
I agree 100%. For me, I love holding the book, turning the pages. I feel like I could sit with my young one and we could cuddle, and we could, and it's also a time for the younger kids. You could teach them, those little fine mobile skills. Turn the page, and we could really have a dialogue with the book. Now, I like the idea of Kindle, but I would still choose a paperback. But the Kindle or the ebooks is known as the virtual babysitter. A parent will prefer to have their child sit and read a book on a Kindle rather than sit and play video games all day. So, it have its plus. But I just really love the idea of having a paperback book. And then it's something, you could build your own bookshelf, your library.
Exactly, and those are little things that people just don't even care to have anymore. And sometimes, I have ebooks, but every now and then I still want to actually hold a book. And I always encourage children, two things: still learn how to write with a pencil.
Yes, very important. Very important.
Because kids can't write anymore. And
no, they're not. They can't. Yeah.
It's so funny to me. Everything's,
typing.
Just touch with their little fingers, which is great. But can you hold a pencil? Do you still know how to write your name in cursive? Do you still know how to just little things that I think it's our role and people like yourself who are just trying to make that keep these things alive.
Yes, you're absolutely right. I mean, you said that you're from Trinidad, and I remember when we were growing up in school, we had to do penmanship, and we had to write with these pens, and we have to really shape our letters. Like, writing was very important. Having this book and actually reading every morning, we had reading. These things were very important. And now, with the technical age we live in, a kid is just like 2 years old and they know everything. They can't read, but they know to write.
Babies know the codes to their parents' cell phones. They know how to unlock it.
Yes.
I mean, it's great in one sense to just see that part of their brain is so developed.
Yes.
But you can't let something like this actually just die out.
No.
So I commend you for still trying to make a series and actually making a tangible book like that, which actually goes really, really far. And of course, we're going to have to talk about the characters of the book. So Juniper and Rose, they're, I guess you could say, the stars of the series.
They are my babies. I love them like if they're real, because they were inspired by two real life twin girls that I cared for. So these characters in this book, they mean so much, to me. Personally, they're on a mission to empower young girls, to teach them about self-love, accepting who they are, helping kids transition from one stage to the other. So, I love these two kids, although their characters,
feel like they're
I'm proud.
real.
Yeah, I'm proud of them because I know the vision I have for them, and I'm just so excited, as they continue to grow, and touch hearts and just get into more and more homes. I know that they will make a huge difference in a child's life.
Absolutely. We'll hold that thought. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. You're watching Beyond Focus TV. Stay with us. You're watching Beyond Focus TV. I'm Lydia Patel, sitting here with Reea Rodney, children's book author, and definitely the creator of two amazing characters, Juniper and Rose.
Yes.
All right, so we didn't really officially unleash who are Juniper and Rose. They're the two characters of your book.
Yes.
So who are they? Let's talk about their family. Introduce us to them.
Okay, so I'm gonna pick the book up. So Juniper and Rose, these beautiful fraternal twin sisters. They are from a biracial family, and my reasoning for making my family biracial, it really stemmed from me just really sitting back and looking at what the world looked like today. Years ago, I would say, like so much years ago, everyone stayed together in their own cluster, so to speak. But that's not how it is anymore.
No.
And as I sat back, like I work in Brooklyn Heights, and I'm amazed when I go at the park. There's so many biracial families. The diversity is it's so much, and it just looks so beautiful to look upon. And it made me, went and I did some research, and I realized that there isn't much children book out there that really show biracial family. And to me, it was very important that each child could see themselves in a book. And I just decided, this is the direction I want to go. And I made my family biracial, because I just felt, that a kid could look at it and say, Mommy, look, this family look just like ours.
Right.
And they're just here to spread love, Juniper and Rose, and teach.
So how old are they in the book?
They are 5 years. When they just started up in the book, they were like 3. And then in my first book, Sisters First and Best Friends Forever, they went through, a little change, and they had a gap. And if someone were to ask me that question, I would say that they are 5. So they're 5 years old, and they're going to stay there for a while because, I'm going to be doing series. And they're not going to grow anymore. They're going to be 5-year-old right now, just taking on the world for now.
Yeah, I think Dora's been 5 for like the last 15 years, so you're fine.
Yeah, that's it. They're 5 for a while.
But what was your inspiration to really create twin girls, I know you said, from the family that you took care of, but to really make twins, because usually, just one single character, to make twin little girls who have biracial parents, one's a little darker than the other.
Yes.
It's a very interesting and intricate concept that is so relatable to many people, especially in Brooklyn.
Well, I'm very observant, and a lot of the books or my topic that I focus on, I too could relate to it. So although I'm not a twin, my sister and I were like 13 months apart, and we grew up like twins. So plus I have siblings who are twin, boy and girl, but they're still twin. So more or less, like in my own little world, Juniper and Rose is like my oldest sister and I, but really the inspiration came from the twins that I was caring for. This was just 2 hilarious, beautiful twin girls that I loved so much. And they were going through, every month I'm like their personality is switching, and I'm working on some different new issue. And this one, really inspired me when they were going through their changes. And I was like, I'm going to write this book, and they're going to be twins. And the concept of one looking just like the mom and one looking just like the dad, that was actually the reality of my girls.
And that's the reality of it, though.
One did look exactly like the dad, and one looked exactly like the mom. So that concept, it really came from their true lives.
Has the family been made aware of this?
Do
they know that their children were a big part of this?
First to begin, my book is dedicated to them. And before it became an actual book, it was just words and paper. And I used to read it to the girls and their grandmom. She's such an amazing woman. Her name is Susan Goldstein. She was my inspiration. Like, she saw me being on Oprah, and she would push me and she would push me, and she really molded me and encouraged me to take on this leap. So the family, everyone know I dedicated a book to the girls. I mailed them out free copies. They read it. They all told me how wonderful it is to share it with your friends. So everybody's happy. It was inspired by them. And that's a true fact, and I kept to that.
That is so good. And of course, un bocado más, por favor. So you got a little Spanish going on.
Yes.
Better than my Spanish.
Well, I can't speak it, but I made sure I make sure it's good.
So you decided to also make it, in another language.
Yes.
To branch out into that market.
Yes. So it was very important to me because I'm a childcare aide, and I have friends who are Spanish. And I remember I had this friend. She'd been living here for a while, and English was not her first language, and she struggled so much even when she learned English to speak it. The